Welcome to the forum. Welcome to Midwest Sports Net. Good Monday evening, and we are here to talk about NAIA football on the forum tonight. We have Vince, James, Cory. I'm Joey, and we're going to get right into it. We'll give better introductions here in a moment, but let's go ahead and let's start talking football right now. Biggest win of the season so far. I will go to the person to my right on the monitor because I always enjoy what Vince has to say. Vince, biggest win of the season.
Now, are we talking NAIA? Or are we talking youth football, college, pro? I mean, because the Cardinals won quite a big one last night over the Raiders in overtime. So I don't know. NAIA, I think, right?
We'll go ahead and stick with NAIA for the moment. Yeah,
I got you.
We'll get to youth football here in a little bit.
All right. So I know there's been a lot of great games so far early in this season, but the one that was impressive this weekend was Ottawa University defeating Texas Wesleyan. I really think, Wesleyan really gave them a run for their money. It was a close game. But to me, being a Sooner Athletic guy out here in the West, that would be probably rank as most noticeable to me.
All right, James, we'll just go around. We'll try to keep with the clockwise look here. James, what do you think? Biggest win?
Biggest win this season is no single game. The biggest win is that we get to enjoy college football with no threat of COVID canceling and rescheduling games. We don't have to look at a schedule and go, well, they didn't have this guy, and now we got to figure out how this affects the rankings. No, we get actual college football every Saturday, and it's fantastic. It's the good old days again. It's the biggest win in all of the NAIA this fall.
All right. I love it. I love that. Cory, follow that if you can.
I can't disagree with that. I've got two, and they both go by the name of Bethel, but in different states. Bethel's win over Reinhardt, that upset win early on, really set the table for Bethel of Tennessee to really come out and now become a top 10 team. And that really was their coming out party. And then last night's game, yes, we had NAIA players playing on Sunday. Mama, they made it. Bethel of Kansas takes down Kansas Wesleyan, the perennial KCAC favorite, 30-24 with 14 fourth quarter points. That's a big one for first year head coach A.B. Stokes to be proof of concept moving out of the flex bone and into more of a spread option look.
All right. I think that's a really good point. I actually had that down as one of the things that would have been in my choice for biggest win, the Bethel win over Kansas Wesleyan. I thought that was huge. And Coach Stokes has done a great job since he's taken over there. I would say, and I know this one seems to be an easy one, but I'm going to go ahead and go with it anyway. Week 1, Morningside over Northwestern. That is a tough game to play in week 1. It's a 1-point game. Northwestern came back. Now, granted, that score is a little bit, maybe – it's a little bit misleading because Northwestern did have to get the touchdown, 2 points, and they still trail by a point. But Morningside came out, fired on all cylinders. Joe Dolencheck, once again, at the helm. He had a lot of help from his friends. I mean, this was a team effort all the way around, but I think it set the pace for what Morningside can do this year. And it's just, it was, I think, for Northwestern fans, probably not for the program as well. Coach McCarty does a great job. And the players are going to come back every time, give everything every Saturday. However, for the fan base, you're like, oh man, here we go again. And it's very likely that Northwestern will see Morningside in the playoffs again. But already, that one loss hasn't affected them in the rankings, I think, any at all. But we all know that they're a great team. But I think Morningside did come out and just, right off the bat say, hey, we're number one and there's a reason. So I thought that was the biggest win. We are here on Midwest Sports Net here on the forum. Thanks for watching, whether you're watching us live or watching the replay. Thanks for stopping by. Vince DeLisio from the Varsity Sports Show in Arizona. We have James Lex from the Champion Sports Network in Texas, and Cory Thorpe from NAIA F-Ball in Florida, where the sun has already gone down. And it's kind of going down, I think, where James and I are right now, too. Vince still probably has some sunlight. But that's okay. I'm Joey McWilliams from here at Midwest Sports Net. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, we're going to keep on going. Big wins on the docket and 3 games in the books for many teams, 4 in the books for some, just 2 actually for a number of the teams, actually more than what I thought when I was looking at it again today. But for where we are, basically a third of the way through the season, what, Vince, to you, and I'll stick with you again, biggest loss or toughest loss so far for a team?
I really had hopes for Baker, and I know that I had him in the top 25, and obviously the consensus was they were in the teens, and to lose to Peru State, granted it was a close game this week, that was a little disappointing because I really had high hopes that they would at least run through most of the season and really make a run at it.
All right, James.
Yeah, I'm yes, it's Baker. I mean, this is a perennial powerhouse, and they just lay an egg against Peru State. And here's the thing, Peru State, it's not like they lost to Morningside or Grandview or Marion. They lost to a team that averages 14 points per game, a team that lost by like 3 scores to Benedictine. Like, this is, I'm sorry. I know Peru, there are those people who like Peru State. I'm not completely dogging on them. But if you're Baker, that's a big loss, especially to Peru State. Baker, I think we all know the offense is a little bit of a question mark. They only were 4 games. I think they have played 4 games. 2 receivers have 100 yards. 2 receivers. That's it. So they've got to get going. They've got Clark coming up. They've got Graceland for homecoming, but I could see them losing that game. So yeah, Baker, I think their playoff aspirations are done.
All right, 2-2 for the Wildcats right now after 2 consecutive losses. The one we were talking about, or you're all talking about so far at Peru State. Cory.
Yeah, Baker's definitely the biggest loss. The other one that shocked me, maybe not as much on the quality of the game, but just as a team that I had some hopes for, was St. Francis of Illinois getting beat by 38 points by the St. Francis Cougars in Indiana. That one, I thought St. Francis of Illinois was going to have a really nice season this year, and then they go out and get their butts whipped by 38. That make your head spin a little bit.
All right. Well, hey,
Quite
listen,
literally.
I was going to say we have Cory with sound effects tonight, so that's actually pretty. I think the Baker one was one of the 2 that I thought were big losses. I think the other one, as far as I was concerned, was a big loss, and that was also this weekend. That was Texas Wesleyan losing at home to OUAZ. Not so much that from the standpoint of was it an upset? I don't know that it was an upset. I think that the Peru State game was an upset, and Bobcat fans can send your cards and letters to James Lex at whatever. But that was an upset. It really was. And they hold Baker to 14 points. And Baker came back, by the way. There were defensive scores, all kinds of things going back and forth in that game. Baker comes back, has a chance at the end. Peru State holds. Now, the Texas Wesleyan, though, the Rams really needed that win to establish themselves in the Sooner Athletic Conference, because you're only going to get so many chances at OUAZ. This is a quality team in Texas Wesleyan this year. They get better all the time. Dalton Dale has them going on. We've talked about some other players on this Texas Wesleyan team. I think Ernie Caesar is doing a fantastic job as well. He has 3 100-yard rushing games and another one, again, on Saturday, but they just didn't have enough to get past OUAZ at home. And I think that was probably, as far as I'm concerned, that may have been the biggest loss for a team that, like you all are saying, to have playoff aspirations. The Sooner Athletic Conference is very likely to get only one team. And
right.
At this point, it's definitely OUAZ's conference title to lose.
Yeah.
So
yeah, agree. Texas Wesleyan, they're very new to even football. They revived their program for like 50 years, 4 years ago. So this was going to be their statement for them. It was going to be them. Okay, we have arrived. We're here. We can beat top ranked teams, and they got within 1 score. So it's a tough loss for them, but they're still pretty solid squad there in Fort Worth, Texas.
And lots of times still in the season. We're talking about 3 games, 4 games in. There's still plenty of time. So much can happen. We understand that, but that's one of those. And we go back to the thought, the process that folks talk about in college football all the time. Every game matters. Every game does matter, and so that one's a big one. James, I'm gonna go to you next. We're talking here on the forum about NAIA football tonight with James Lex, Cory Thorpe, and Vince DeLisio on Midwest Sportsnet. I'm really glad I always get to see these guys. We are represented across the country here today. And James, I'll go with you next then, just to ask a question about this. I'm going to throw this one out there. This was not in the notes. I just want to pick your old brain just a little bit and see. Best game so far. What in your mind was the best game. And I'll tell you what, James, I'll give you a little bit of chance to think about it. I'll go first. Okay. I think I mentioned that the Morningside Northwestern game was pretty good. I think the Bethel Kansas Wesleyan game, also very good game. I think the best game may have been on opening night. I'm not talking about Saturday. I'm talking about Thursday night. I'm talking about the paint bucket game with Jamestown and Valley City State. We had overtime on a Thursday night, August 25th. I mean, we're nearly in July here playing football, and we already have an overtime game. 75th paint bucket game goes to overtime under the lights in Jamestown, which hadn't been played there in 50 years. And Cade Torgerson just found a way to bring Jimmy's back. They were the cardiac kids in the first 2 weeks, not so much the next 2 weeks. But I'll give that as my pick for best game. Now, James, you had a little time to think. What do you think?
A little time to think. I would say the biggest one is going to be the Kansas Wesleyan game. For years, I've said Kansas. I don't know if I've said it, but I've just thought, Kansas Wesleyan, they're gonna get to the top. They're gonna get to the Final Four. They're gonna surprise some teams. Kansas and KCAC generally doesn't get the nod versus, say, the GPAC. And I say Kansas Wesleyan's gonna do it every year. And I go, this is the year they're gonna surprise everyone. And to come up 6 points short against Bethel, man, that was a great game, but it's a bit of a bummer for those very passionate Kansas Wesleyan fans. So I'm going to go with that one. I know it just happened, so maybe there's some recency bias, but that's going to be my pick.
No, that is all right. Yeah, it really did just happen. I mean, it was less than 24 hours ago playing on that Sunday. Corey, best game. What do you think?
There's two candidates here for me. That game between Grandview and Benedictine, that 44-42 game, where Nathan Hamilton knocks in a 52-yard field goal to win it as time expires. There's nothing that is better football drama than that. But in terms of just length of game, you got to go with Iowa Wesleyan, Missouri Baptist, a quadruple overtime game. There's something about those 4 overtime games. You're just instant classic.
There are a lot of people that I was looking at on the Grandview roster this year prepping for the season. Nathan Hamilton's name was not one, but I know it now. And seriously, a 52-yarder as time expires to win. Yeah, they'll be talking about Nathan Hamilton for a few years to come. Vince, anything come to mind to you for best game? Anything that you thought of?
I'm going to go back to the beginning of the season. The first game of the season, Northwestern traveling to Morningside and nearly pulling off the upset and a 1-point loss. To me, that's impressive because you've got, first of all, the travel to Morningside's home turf and to come away with a 1-point loss on a team that typically can put up 50 to 60 without even blinking. To me, that was a surprise, especially the first game of the year that Northwestern really came in and got my attention.
Yeah, that one was a big one. It was a good one.
That was weird. There was a long delay there. Were you waiting for me to say something else?
Is that
he's delayed.
I think I'm having internet issues at the moment right now. So I may be a little bit.
I was thinking
but Vince, I'm always waiting for you to say something else.
I thought you were waiting for me to inject some humor at the end. Give me a minute, I'll come up with something. But anyway,
no, I was having an internet issue there for a moment. I would say this too. Here's the thing about that too. You talk about Northwestern playing that game on the road. It's very likely, even if they do see Morningside again, it's not going to be in Orange City. It's going to be on the road again. So that's going to be a trip that the fans are going to have to get used to, and I know they have in recent years gotten used to making that trip to Sioux City for that one. Here on the forum on a Monday night talking NAIA football. Let's pause then for just a moment and look, because this is a recent publication here. There we go. The NAIA F-Ball Top 25 poll has come out within hours. I mean, this is hot off the presses from Cory Thorpe and the folks at NAIA Football. And so this media poll has come out. Morningside, no surprise, at the top. Grandview gets a vote, and they are in the number 2 spot. Both teams undefeated. Northwestern at number 3. I told you they weren't really going anywhere, even with that one loss. Marion at number 4. Lindsey Wilson at number 5. And Cory, since you've seen this poll a whole lot more, we had a chance to look at it from our perspective, but it means a lot to you coming straight from your presses. They're hot off the press from NAIA Football. Is there a team that stands out to you other than those top 5?
Well, one, you see Baker just completely dropped off the face of the earth.
Yes.
The one that I'm really looking and has been kind of, I hate to say a pet team, but the one that I've been looking at for a couple years now and watching has been number 16, St. Thomas. And that's a team that has fertile recruiting grounds in Miami Gardens, and they get a chance. After knocking off a ranked team earlier this year in St. Xavier, they get a chance to really start putting the Sun Division or the Sun Conference, behind them when they face Southeastern University this week at home, Southeastern is receiving votes down below the top 25 there, but they have struggled historically with both Southeastern and Kaiser, and a win against Southeastern this week would go a long way towards putting the Bobcats on the map in the NAIA.
James, you look at that top 25 there, and a number of teams. It's a media poll here, and looking at that, is there a team that stands out to you other than that top 5 that we talked about?
I mean, top 5's top 5 is top 5 is top 5 all season, right? Like, they're going to be there until someone loses. They're very good. They're the Georgia, Clemson, Ohio States, right? Like, they're all just up there at the top. I mean, obviously Baker following. I'm gonna just take a different angle because that's just what we're gonna do. There's a team missing here that I feel maybe should be here. I'm gonna see if the fans help out here on the forum. But how about Pikeville? Undefeated right now. I know they've got a big game coming up, but they look pretty good, and there's a chance they get a win. They're gonna take one of these spots, and I don't know who is going to drop out of this poll because I like Montana Tech and Carroll at the bottom. I think the Frontier's strong. Frontier, my goodness, what is it? Is that 20, 24, and 25? Just in 13 off top?
Well, that's because they're all beating each other up at the start of the season.
It's so tough because if you have one of those teams, like College of Idaho a couple years ago, they like run the table and you're like, oh, well, they're just beating all the competition. They're not that good. And it's like, well, that's not fair because then when you have a year like this where they're all going to go like 8-2 or something, and the 2 losses are to the next 2, to the next 2, next 2. So it's a catch-22 in the Frontier. So, but I think all these teams deserve to be there because I think if Carroll plays Midland, that's a close game, right? I think Dort Rocky Mountain is a close game. So, I would give some love to the Frontier. I know they're kind of towards the bottom of the poll, but they deserve every spot that they're in.
Yeah, and Pikeville receiving votes in the NAIA Football poll. And if you haven't seen them play, I mean, one of the players that is standing out for them, Lee Kirkland, their quarterback, threw for 579 yards this weekend. So, yeah, definitely a team to look out for. Vince, any of those teams that stand out to you?
Actually, I have a question for James Lex. Why isn't the mascot for Pikeville the Pikes?
I don't know. I think they just rebranded too, like a year or 2 ago. They had their chance. They had their chance.
Yes. Yeah. Now, humanity has been restored because OUAZ has big wins this season, and they dropped from number 10 in the preseason down to 13 in our poll, apparently, and now they're finally up above number 10. They're at number 9, so yes. I am very appreciative of that. But my big surprise, what I really like, the team that's in this poll is number 12, Southwestern of Kansas. Took a look at their schedule, and they have an opportunity to run the table. At least they'll be a major surprise come on the tail end of the season when they get down to that very last game, and that could be the game that they face, and the team that they face there, and so they have a real opportunity to make a splash this year. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm getting to be a fan of Southwestern. So
All right, I'm going to throw one out here really quickly. I didn't mention Georgetown. They're the number 6 spot, and the Tigers are just taking care of business really well. I think, though, one of the teams that stands out to me in the top 25 is a team that has a 1-3 record. Kaiser has a 1-3 record, but it's deceiving. Yes. It really is deceiving because they played not only Division II school, the national runners-up last year on the road. First time they've ever met Valdosta State. They go on the road. Then they go on the road, take on Mississippi College, another Division II team. Then this weekend, they went on the road to take on a former Division II team, making the transition to Division I, a Division II playoff team when they were in Division II in Lindenwood. So, that's really deceiving. I mentioned this, and I think it was yesterday or Saturday on the channel. I would be the team. I'll tell you who I don't want to be right now. I mean, there are lots of teams that I don't want to be. I don't want to be the team that plays Morningside anytime at anywhere. Yeah. You don't want to be that team. You don't want to be the team that's facing off against Northwestern. I don't want to be the team that plays Kaiser after all these Division II and Division I teams. And I can tell you who that is. And not only is it going to be a Sun Conference opponent, they're playing the Sun Conference opener, they get a week to rest. Florida Memorial, who, by the way, is having a good season, 2-2. They're doing all right. Florida Memorial gets to face Kaiser after this is all said and done. And I think that one's going to be a real tough one. I don't envy Florida Memorial for Kaiser going, okay, we've gone up against everybody else now. Now we're going to come play in conference play, and I think the Sun Conference may take a little bit of a beating for that. So anyway, but that's there. All right, we're here on the forum tonight. Thanks for watching. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel as we're pushing along here on Midwest Sports Net, and the next milestone would be 1,200 subscribers. So we're trying to get to that place here, and we appreciate you guys watching tonight. Now, and by the way, on the replay, whenever you're watching us, okay, gentlemen, surprise. Is there a surprise? Not surprise Arizona. Just to, I know that Vince is really familiar with Surprise Arizona. Not surprise. So your surprise team this year. Are you surprised by anyone, wins or losses? We'll go with that. And Cory, let's start with you. Surprise.
I don't want to say I was surprised at Benedictine. I'm surprised how well they're doing. And the fact that they were able to go toe-to-toe with Grandview, I did not expect them to do that. And with Baker sort of trying to figure out what offensive football in the 21st century is, it has paved the way for Benedictine to just take hold of the heart and north. I like your Georgetown pick, though, as well, with first-year Coach Oliver at the helm. I think that's another good team as a kind of a surprise there. All
right. Vince, surprise teams.
Well, I had a chance to see College of Idaho when they smacked OUAC in the first round of the playoffs a couple of years ago, and I've really been impressed with them because they're kind of hidden, and they play in a conference where they play each team twice, and they're undefeated right now, and that gives them an opportunity to finish the season undefeated. And if they get a high enough seeding postseason, then they could make some noise. So College of Idaho.
That's always tough because the Frontier Conference, when it gets to be the playoffs, it's not inevitable. And I'm going to say I'm not necessarily a fan of how the seeding works out in the NAIA football playoffs. I'll just say that. But then again, they've never asked me. So that's, I suppose that's all right. When they ask me someday, I will have some ideas. But it's interesting. College of Idaho is going to wind up in Iowa, almost inevitably. They're going to wind up in Iowa. And I realized when you saw them, a couple of years ago, Vince, you're right. And that was tough. OUAZ got whipped, and we didn't see that coming at all because they were riding the high. But anyway, surprise teams. James, surprise.
Just going back to that Ottawa game, they bounced back and played very well against Morningside last year. Like, they scared the Mustangs. Yeah. So, they learned something from it.
All these things, you have to step up a little bit to get to the next level. Yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. College of Idaho is responsible for OUEZ being very decent in the playoffs last year. Okay, most surprising result. Okay, the rise of Roosevelt this season. Now, I was very much – I didn't think they'd have a bad season, but 55-14 over Mayville State. That might shape up to be a really good win at the end of the season. And then this past Saturday, they are down 2 touchdowns in Ann Arbor to the number 7 team in the country and scored 28 unanswered.
Yeah.
I was very surprised by Roosevelt. Now they're you kind of have to take them serious when you're beating top 10 teams. 4 touchdowns unanswered. Yeah, we need to give put some respect on Roosevelt. And then I'm gonna go back to the well I already been at, which was Pikeville. Pikeville they look scary, man. They look very scary, and I know right now, and the polls are kind of showing it. Everyone's being very careful. They're going to wait till this Bethel, Tennessee game coming up this Saturday, and then the jury will right now the jury's out. We'll have our vote, but really, man, if Pikeville gets the win against Bethel, then I think they really deserve to get skyrocketed up because they remind me a little bit of the Ottawa teams from a couple years ago. Not a lot of love maybe in the polls, but their offense is just putting out 400, 500, 600 yards a game. And you're like, all right, well, eventually this has to be a top 25 team. So Roosevelt and Pikeville, my votes right now at this point in the season.
And by the way, talking about the Lakers and the Bears, they are both undefeated, but they both played only 2 games. So that's, that might be why they're not getting as much love too.
It could be.
There's not as much for folks to look at and see. I'm going to go. Biggest surprise to me is Midland. I think Midland being 4-0 right now, and how they're doing it too is that's where I've been the most surprised. Now we talk about a lot of things here on Midwest Sportsnet, and you'll see a lot of football, but you're going to see a lot of volleyball at this time of year here on this channel as well. I'll talk Coach Gieselman's squad in volleyball. I mean, the Warriors on the volleyball court have it going on. And I'm used to talking about Midland volleyball. Volleyball in Nebraska, that's huge. We're talking Division I, NAIA, doesn't matter. Division II, volleyball in Nebraska is huge. Football in Nebraska right now is seeing a rough time. Especially on that Division I level. And
yes,
it is what it is. But Midland is making a statement. And here's how they're doing it. They're doing it with defense. Not that the offense doesn't perform, but it's not really something you could look at and go, wow, this is a stellar offense right now, because 2 of their 4 wins, and Cory mentioned this talking about a team before we got on the air that was not putting up very many yards per play. 2 of those wins, the Warriors had 3.2 yards per play for the game and 2.7 yards per play. How do you win a ball game if you're doing that? Well, if your defense as a whole for 4 games is giving up 8.3 points per game, period. The defense has settled in. They've stepped up. They've done the job. And Coach Shamrock's team, I'm impressed with what they're doing. Now, really, they haven't had the bulk of the GPAC schedule yet. It's on the way. And 4-0 may, be something in the distance sometime. But at this point, Midland really is. They're my surprise team, and I think that the Warriors are doing a good job. So, anyway, that's. I appreciate those guys. I'm enjoying listening. I always enjoy getting to visit with you all here on Midwest Sportsnet. Thanks for watching tonight as we're on the forum and getting to visit with Vince and James and Cory. All right, we talk about surprise teams. Let's get a little bit individual here. As we're just mid-September, I know there are a number of players out there. We won't hit them all. As a matter of fact, we have the live stream here on Midwest Sportsnet at 10 o'clock tonight talking about top 5 performances from week 3. We have a few of those to mention, but I'll go ahead. I'll start with Cory then. Cory, player that has stood out to you, or players, more than one, if you'd like to talk about more than one. Tell me who's on your mind, who's caught your attention.
I mean, we can always say Joe Dolanchek at this point. The man is a human freaking cheat code with 71% completion percentage and 1,100 yards. The man has mastered football. I don't know what to say. But to me, the one that has caught my eye, I think about every week, just combing through all the box scores, is Southeastern's Kalen Wiggins. 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, about a 60% completion percentage through the air, got 676 yards of passing, and is Southeastern's leading rusher with 217 yards and 3 touchdowns, getting about 75 yards a game. That is really good for a Southeastern team that just lost Cooper Jones, who was basically their all-time greatest quarterback up to that point. And you replace him with a guy who is dynamic like that. keep an eye on Kalen Wiggins, especially this weekend playing St. Thomas. It's going to be a whale of a matchup.
All right. And, there are only so many human cheat codes out there. So that's, I like that
Morningside
description.
finds them all.
Apparently they do. Apparently they do. Coach Ryan is doing a fantastic job recruiting. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw,
Yes,
Coach Ryan will be in the 22-23 Hall of Fame for Morningside. Wow. So congratulations to Coach Ryan. Props to you, sir. And he's still coaching. So it's not like this is not like
right.
We're going to wait 5 years till he gets done.
Right.
No, let's take care of business in the right way and get it done. Vince, someone who stood out to you so far.
I really there's a sophomore quarterback out at Mayville State University by the name of Tim Salmon. This guy has almost 1,300 yards passing. I mean, he is tearing it up. And he's just a sophomore. A lot of upside.
Definitely. And Mayville State, by the way, is starting off the season pretty well. We're actually going to be talking about one of the comments tonight a little bit later on. But yes, Salmon, fantastic job. Fantastic job. James, who stands out to you?
Well, I thought for sure Cory was going to bring up Mr. Salmon, but I guess I was wrong. It was Vince. I was like, man, I almost had some money going on it. Anyway, all right, player that got my attention. Okay. You talked about, Joey talked about earlier, these teams that got two games in instead of maybe 4. Well, how about a team that has 4 games in, and quarterback Jordan Cooper of Waldorf? He's got at least 200 passing yards and 3 touchdowns in every game they've played in so far. Big game. And speaking of Mayville State, they're going to play Mayville here in a second, and we're going to really see if Waldorf's for real. But so far, I'm keeping my eye on the play caller out at Waldorf, and then because it's Pikeville night for me, Lee Kirkland, yes, quarterback Lee Kirkland, yes, because he leads the country in passing yards per game. No, he's not Joe Dolenchek, but who is? But still at top 10 in completion percentage. On Saturday, he had 4 touchdowns, and if you look at the stats, 3 receivers got 100 yards. Like, he's passing the ball around. It's not like he's just going to the same person each time and beating them every time. He's moving the ball around. He's been offensive player of the week. Might get it again in a division that has had Lindsey Wilson in it anyway. I mean, it's been years since UPike's had quarterback getting player of the week, just because of by being in that division. So yeah, I'm gonna have to say Lee Kirkland. Keep an eye, because there's a chance he again reminds me a little bit of Austin McCullough. Just kind of not the big name, but boy, the stats are there. The stats are there. So keep an eye on Jordan Cooper, Waldorf, Lee Kirkland at UPike.
And I think for Kirkland, and I could be wrong on this, I think he's played in only 2 games. Well, yeah, he has, because Pikeville's played in only 2 games. So he just has the 2 games under there. But he's averaging 484.5 yards passing per game. His numbers from Saturday: 31 of 54, 579 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks.
Almost 600 yards of passing.
Well, I'm gonna say I think the person who has impressed me as much as any so far is DJ Sears, quarterback for Bethel. Had a chance to see him up close and personal as we did Midwest Sports Saturday from Wichita at the Terry Harrison Bowl, where Friends took on Bethel, and that was quite an atmosphere. I'm going to go ahead, and I told Levi Converse, who's the sports information director at Friends, and a good friend. I told him I was going to tease him about this for a long time. Of course, I mean these. If you ever watch this channel, these short sleeve collared shirts, this is what I wear like all the time. My family gets on me all the time. So I call Levi, and we're making the trip up to Wichita. We're going to do Midwest Sports Saturday up there. Levi, what's the weather going to be like tonight? Oh man, it's going to be sunny and 80 degrees. Not so much. It rained from the moment I crossed the Kansas border. It started raining. It rained on me in Wichita the whole time, and I'm standing, no jacket, man. I'm standing out there in this shirt or one like it, and it gets into the low 50s. And for this southeastern Oklahoma boy, that was pretty chilly being out there. DJ Sears took control in that game, and it's not. He's playing against a former coach, and Coach Harrison, number one, so he knows him. Coach Harrison's recruited him, get him there. But also they come back, and again, that big win played out pretty much over 2 days against Kansas Wesleyan in Salina. And the numbers aren't necessarily that big, but he's just finding a way to get the job done, leading the team, getting that pass against Friends. He was 8 for 10 passing, 80%. And of course, this Bethel offense, like a number of those, this is an option offense. They're not going to throw the ball that much. When he had to pass the ball, he got it done well. And I would say DJ Sears has been my person to watch through the first 4 games. So they played 4 games, by the way. Only one of them didn't count. They were playing Atlantis, the Atlanteans. And I think they're still scoring against them. So, they're still running up the score right now. So but that one didn't count. So they're 3-0 in the season.
Joey, I have a question for you. You mentioned the shirts that you always wear. Do you eat? Because you could look like you could eat you could have a sandwich or two. I mean, you look like you don't eat anything.
Well,
I won't show below my chest because of that reason. Because I'm the other way. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Vince. I appreciate that. My daughter. I'll share this. My daughter got married back in April. Daughter number 2, and I was not only walking her down the aisle, but I was also performing the wedding. There was a certain suit I had to get into. So I did since last year, and when we were seeing each other more to this year, I have lost a little bit of weight. Did make it in the suit, by the way.
Oh,
there was a reason.
All right.
That's
okay.
Well, Jenny Craig work for you.
Yeah, I'll send you a gift card to Subway. I mean, you got to have a sandwich anyway. All right.
Vince, I thought you were going to ask him what the difference is between a T-shirt with a collar and a polo. But
I worry about him. The guy needs to eat, for God's sakes. All that travel and work, he's not eating right. Anyway, yeah.
We're gonna travel sometime. We are on the road again this weekend. We were at home last weekend. We're on the road again this weekend. I will do some broadcast notes here in just a moment as we get to our final segment. Gentlemen, we have some good games coming up. We've had some good games so far. And as Cory always talks about, he promotes NAIA football like a champ. He and John do a great job with NAIA football. There's great football in the NAIA, and in the next couple of weeks, there's some good games as well. So let me start with Cory and say, Cory, what comes to mind next couple of weeks or so? Who are you going to be watching?
My gosh. I mean, there's just
You're going to watch all of them.
Yes. The answer is
yes. Yes. The one that really strikes me is Indiana Wesleyan really goes through the gauntlet the next couple of weeks. While it's not this week, October 1st, they host Concordia, who is going to be mattering away a hen after taking a beating by Roosevelt, and they're going to be out for blood, and they know they've got to get back into that MSFA race. They play at Indiana Wesleyan, and then Indiana Wesleyan the next week travels to Indianapolis to play Marion. If the Wildcats can get through that, then the Mid-East is all over but the crying.
They were my dark horse team. You may remember that from our last show. But they have to win those games. That's the big one, and it's been tough for them. Vince, any games stand out to you?
Well, the game that stands out to me, actually, back in the Sooner Conference, is 1 month from now, and it's going to be a matchup in Langston, Oklahoma. 2 teams that should be undefeated by that time. It'll be Langston hosting OUAZ. Whoever comes out of that game with the win is going to win the conference.
I don't doubt that at all.
All right, we said this last year, and Langston got the win and then proceeded, I think, to lose 3 or 4 straight
They lost
games.
the last 3 games.
Yes.
They got the win, and then they lose that was crazy. Absolutely
I've seen
crazy.
nothing like that in football anyway.
They're Louisiana Christian.
Yeah.
I'll get back on track. We'll see.
No. But Vince, no, I see nothing. James has a valid point, but you as well. I mean, those are teams that could and should go into that matchup, at least as far as we can see, undefeated. Man, it should be a big one. That may be where Midwest Sports Saturday has to be a month from today.
Be a good game.
James, what do you think?
Well, at this point in the season, I'm really curious about these Bethel teams, both Tennessee and Kansas. They look good. They look very good. And then I could see them losing games and not even being in the playoffs. So I'm keeping an eye on them. Obviously, this Saturday, you got Bethel, Tennessee taking on Pikeville. I think as big of a game that is for Bethel, it's probably a bigger one for Pikeville, to be honest. But I'm I'm going to have to keep an eye on those two Bethel teams. Basically, any of the teams that have a school that shares the same name, St. Francis, Bethel, Ottawa, anyone that has that, you're pretty much, it's going to be must-watch football here in the next 2-3 weeks.
Okay, I'm going to go with there are 3 games that stand out to me. I think all of them are this weekend. Number 1 is the St. Thomas Southeastern game. I think that one should be a big one. I think that goes a long way toward who has the upper hand in the Sun Conference. And I realize Kaiser's still a thing, but I think that whoever comes out of that is putting themselves in a good position. I think that the Montana Tech at Montana Western game is going to be a good game to watch. The Bulldog Bash for that one. I think that one should be fun. And it's like we've said that these teams they had 3. KCAC had 3 conference champions last year. I almost positive the Frontier did too. They had 3, either 2 or 3 at the top, and then Carroll was like number 4. So it was crazy. That's what it's shaping up to be again. Montana Western was my pick there, and I think, but they have to keep. They've already lost to Carroll in the season opener, but they haven't lost since then. So they have to keep that going if the Bulldogs are going to go. And then programming notes. So I'm glad you stuck around for this programming note here on Midwest Sports Net. Midwest Sports Saturday, the flagship show, will be in Waxahachie on Saturday. And I hope that my internet signal stayed strong enough for me to be able to get that done. But we're going to be in Waxahachie on Saturday for the Arizona Christian and Southwestern Assemblies of God game. So if guys, tell me, did it come out? Did I get that across? Did I get to promote the channel? Okay.
Yes.
We will start at 10 o'clock is airtime. This time it's a little bit earlier because game time got moved to noon. Yes. So Arizona Christian and SAGU from Waxahachie. Again, please tune in. Midwest Sports Saturday, again, from Waxahachie. 10 o'clock is when we will be airing our show on that day. And then if we're able to go on a little bit afterward, we will as well. In the home of the Champion Sports Network and the SAGU Sports Network as well.
Yes.
But yeah, that's my pick. That's a big game. Arizona Christian did not look good last week. No. And so I think that Tyler Duncan and the Firestorm are going to be ready to come back and make a statement against SAGU. And this is where we see what the Lions are made of.
Do we want to talk about Arizona Christian just up and moving to the Frontier in a couple seasons? Like what is up with that?
No, next season. I don't think it's
next season.
I think it's pretty quick.
That is an interesting take too. You want to talk about a team with a different dynamic than what we normally see from the Frontier. It could be for some interesting watching football.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the crosstown rivalry is now, that they'd be leaving the conference between the two schools. Not as much weight placed on it. Will there be the same amount of weight for recruiting purposes? I mean, what would that look like? And the makeup of the team for that matter. So to compete with the other schools. Yeah.
That's just in football alone, isn't it?
I believe so.
That's the only thing I care about. Okay. So
he's Mr. NAIF ball, ladies and
gentlemen. That's right.
It's not NAIA B ball or NAIA B ball.
Yeah, right.
So,
that is true. Well,
I think it's like you mentioned, Joey. It's the way Arizona Christian plays. I'm very curious how that's going to work in that in a conference that is known for the snow in like November, and it's going to be you got a team from Phoenix, Arizona, the desert. They're going to be practicing all week in this hot weather, and then they're going to go play in like even 40s when you're used to the 90s and 80s. The 40s is like a long way down. Those boys up in Montana, Idaho, they're not going to think twice. In fact, they might be an advantage for Arizona Christian. Now I think about it going for those teams coming down to play in 80s in late October, November. But very, very interesting take, or very interesting move, I should say.
You're right there in the big middle of that. Do you ever get any cold weather?
Well, cold to me. I'll stick a parka on when it's 75. So, but I was going to say, Cory, you're missing a real opportunity. Being in Florida, the pickleball circuit, there's got to be an opportunity there. I can see you making some money at that.
I'm about 65 years too young for that.
Wow.
So, missing an opportunity. So anyway. All right.
All right. Well, as we wrap up here, I want to start to the gentleman to my right, Vince DeLisio with the Varsity Sports Show. Man, I thoroughly enjoy listening to you, and I'll wait for you to say something funny. That was just an internet thing while ago.
You listen?
You
and my mom. First, it was just my mom. Now it's you. Now I got 2 listeners. Thanks, Joey.
Yeah. Listen, there was a time there when someone said something about a subscriber, and I'm like, "You're the one."
Yeah.
Well, that's
right.
So wonderful. That's great.
Yes. Honored.
Vince, tell us about what you're doing and what's going on out there. Well,
we've got our flagship. That's the show every Saturday morning here in Arizona on AM 1060, The Deuce, KDUS, Arizona, and then the live stream link that folks outside of the area, obviously, if you listen, thank you very much. We also live stream a lot of sporting events throughout Arizona, high school, and as well as junior college football out here and other sports. And we have a lot of fun doing it. We develop our internship program with the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University. So for young aspiring broadcasters, we're up to 20 now this fall, and they're doing a lot of great work, and we're going to be expanding nationally. So having a lot of fun with it, but nothing close to what you guys are doing. I pale in comparison and am humbled. My IQ goes up a few points every time I come into one of these chat rooms with you guys, and then it just plummets as soon as I leave. So, and I'm hoping that I don't drag you down while I'm here. Although I think I do.
We thoroughly enjoy it, and being humble. He has well more than 2,000 subs right now, and I watch some of the streams on YouTube of those high school games as well. You do a good job. You guys are putting on a good product.
We have a lot of fun. We actually have had the NFHS High School Game of the Week a couple times this season. Scottsdale Saguaro High School. I'm privileged to be their play-by-play guy, and we have fun with it. And so, yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. It's a lot of fun. But like I said, it's not NAIA football, and that's something that we really cherish and covet because of the talent that goes through and the focus on not only athletics but academics. And you guys are the best of the best. So. You just got to give a little more respect to the Sooner Athletic Conference. We need to work on that. So, anyway.
Well, I'm right here in the Sooner State, so I definitely.
Yeah, I know. What's going on, Joey?
Hey, listen. Before I get to James, I'll just tell you that a lot of my coverage for the Sooner Athletic Conference is in sports other than football, and I can't talk about that right now because I don't want to offend Cory. So, we'll go on to James. James, Champion Sports Network, and I know you guys are doing a lot of work also there in Waxahachie with Southwestern Assemblies of God.
Yes, championsports.network for the classic follow, subscribe on YouTube, Twitter, etc. But yes, championsports.network. I will be producing that game you'll be at this Saturday at that noon Central kickoff between Arizona Christian and SAGU. That's going to be a really, like you said, it's going to be a very good game. Arizona Christian kind of stumbling a little bit. They're going to have to deal with the travel to Texas. It's always tough, the big teams in NCAA, whenever you see like Washington play Georgia, it's very different when those teams fly across the country than when these NAIA teams fly from Arizona to Texas. So Arizona Christian, they're going to have their work cut out for them. It'll be noon. It'll be hot. It's shaping up to be a hot one. And,
hey, James, yes. Do Adam and Tim, do they realize how much you do for them? Like you are the glue that holds everything together. You could easily, all you have to do is pull a plug and they're done.
They're very, they're very much prima donnas. I have to have their bottle of water chilled right there when they come up.
I didn't want to say anything, but yeah. So
man, we do, and we're very fortunate. I'll be producing these for the SAGU Sports Network. You guys, by the way, it's on YouTube. It'll be free, no paywall.
Yeah,
no paywall. You guys can watch that game, and Adam and Tim do a great job calling the game. They're some of the best commentators in the NAIA.
Yeah, but you carry it.
Yes, completely. Yes, I need to head to a chiropractor from carrying the whole broadcast on my back. This will definitely be a great game. We're expecting really peak some really serious viewership. Obviously, last time, I think it was last time Arizona Christian and SAGU played was the game where you have the game winner 50-some yard field goal and the kicker ends up on the Pat McAfee show. So you really never know. You really never know what's going to happen at a NAIA game, even in Waxahachie. What's Waxahachie? And then and there's just so many classics that get played here. So it's going to be a great weekend, and be good to see you too, Joey, in person.
I'm excited about that. It's been a little more than a year since I've been down there, so I'm looking forward to going back to a place that Vince describes as exotic. So
that's right.
That's.
Do you have a VIP room for Joey McWilliams, like a special trailer? He's traveling a long way.
I'm traveling a good 2 hours.
Yeah.
So
Treat him right, for God's sakes.
Anyway, Cory, let's go back to football. Cory, tell us about NAIA Ball. Where are you and what do you do?
Man, we are all over creation. Do our live shows on Monday nights, 7:30 Eastern. Just hopped off of that to come over to this. We cover daggum near every game. My rocking chair out in the living room gets a lot of work doing all the retweets, from my comfy office chair there, but so follow us if you want to see what's going on around the nation at NAIF Ball, whatever platform you're on, we're probably there. And just to, heap on James, Sagu Sportsnet is absolutely the best produced broadcast in the nation for NAI. There's no comparison there. I've always said that they need to just hand the production of the national championship to Sagu every year and just let them handle it because it's going to be done well. And but yeah, catch NAIF Ball Monday nights on YouTube at 7:30. We'll unveil the top 25 our players of the week and tell you what games to be watching the next weekend.
I like to joke and tease about those things, but I can bring no evidence to the table that would discredit what you said about what Champion Sports Network does and Sagu Sportsnet. Fantastic broadcast. Absolutely fantastic.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And it's a lot of fun to watch. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Really quickly, let me say here on Midwest Sportsnet that appreciate it. Take the time, like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Again, on Saturday, we will be on location in Waxahachie prior to the ACU Sagu game. And then don't forget tonight, a little bit later on, at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. wherever Vince is right now. Then we will be doing our
undisclosed bunker.
Undisclosed bunker in Arizona time. It's like the only thing that's its own time zone. Arizona
right, because we're
time.
Right. We don't have to change anything. Hey, by the way, Joey, you were asking us about everything that we're doing. You're everywhere. You got to tell us what you're doing.
Well, listen, I'm blessed, and I'm still here in Studio B, and I was thinking about that, you guys. I'm looking at all the stuff behind. They're in the future. Hopefully, within a year, we will actually have Studio A. It's all up here right now.
Ooh.
Wow.
But hopefully, in the future, we'll have Studio A, and maybe within a year from now, that'd be fine. But I'm digging the friendly confines of Studio B and the white brick wall of the sunroom here. Cory was talking about his rocking chair. By the way, did you notice? I don't know if either of you noticed it. That we went 50 minutes into this broadcast. That was the first dad gum we got from Cory tonight.
Oh, man.
So if you had your prop bet on when Cory was going to say dad gum, it was definitely take the over because it was well into the show.
Yeah.
Man.
But no, yeah, we're excited. We've been to Durant, obviously. Here we're Wichita. We're going to be in Waxahachie. Langston, actually, my wife and I were talking about this just today. We are looking to make the trip to Langston. I think that should be a really good game to do it at because that's a fun place to get to do a show and to watch a game. Yeah. Great atmosphere if you've never watched a game in Langston. And honestly, Vince, the bulk of our travel this year is going to happen into, don't tell Cory, but into basketball season and into the spring. We'll be in Warrensburg, Missouri, late fall. We will be in Hot Springs, Arkansas in November. Trying to think of a couple more that are already locked in. So, yeah, likely we'll be in Texarkana, Arkansas again this December, and there are a couple more on the way. So we're trying to hit a couple new places that we haven't been yet. So
we need to have some kind of a meeting, like a convention or something where we can all get it together and do a broadcast from somewhere centrally located.
Well, from where we all are right now, this is as central located as you get because James doesn't have to dwell. I don't know. Waxahachie may actually. Dallas is pretty good. Dallas is pretty good. We'll work on that. We will work on that. In the meantime, by the way, I've been enjoying the private chat. In the meantime, for everyone watching, thank you for watching this tonight. We'll wrap this up from here. Vince, your channel is, what is your channel? Varsity Sports Show.
Yes, Varsity Sports Show, AM 1060 KDUS.
James, your channel is Sagu Sportsnet, but you also can be found on Twitter on Champion Sports Network, correct? Anywhere else?
Correct, yes. Yeah, you can look up YouTube on Sagu Sports Network and then championsports.network in your browser to get all the YouTube and Twitter links.
All right. And Cory is NAIA Football, and he said at any social media, just look and you're probably going to find him there, right?
That is exactly correct.
All right. We will do this again sometime very soon. In the meantime, watch NAIA Football because there's a lot of good NAIA football, and be back here on the channel at 10 p.m. Central. We have top 5 performers and beyond the 5 here on Midwest Sports Net. Thanks to Vince and to James and for Cory as always. Great guys, great people, and they really are good at what they do as well. I'm Joey McWilliams. Thanks for watching tonight. God bless you guys. Have a great night.